The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
Talk is online, News Talk Online, a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users, on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. Unlike Iran, no retribution. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. Now, at the beginning of the show and throughout the program, I encourage you to go to my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com. Today, if you go there, you're going to see some extraordinary things. I must warn you that some of the images are very disturbing, not the kind of images you want to show your children. I made an editorial decision to post these images taken by both professional and amateur photographers and videographers at great risk to their own lives because they felt, and I agree with them, even though I've never met them, that it is important for the world to see what's going on in Iran today. You may have heard Mr. Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, in declaring victory at a news conference over the weekend, say that Iran is a free society where people are welcome to speak out. And he wasn't too concerned about the people protesting because it's no different than a soccer match, he said, where you lose, your team loses, and you're a little bit disappointed, and some of the people who are disappointed kind of act up a little bit. But he assured the world that all the police are doing is handing out traffic citations to those who impede traffic. Well, it's pretty obvious that that's not the case. In fact, in terms of encouraging or allowing people to protest, the protest over the election results, in which he declared that he won by a substantial margin, most any objective observer would suggest that that's extremely unlikely. 1.5 to 2 million people took to the streets of Tehran today, and they were marching peacefully, for the most part. When the goons came out, they all had long batons, and with those long batons, they were smacking at the kneecaps of protesters, many of whom were doing nothing but standing around or marching or shouting. They were not burning buses or throwing rocks at vehicles. We saw some of that, but a lot of the people who were attacked were doing nothing wrong. In fact, in one of the videos, it's very disturbing. A man is just on the roof of his home observing what's going on outside. They have flat roofs there. And the goon squad comes running up the stairs, and they beat him at least to unconsciousness, perhaps to death. I can't tell, but it was pretty disturbing to see. There have been shots fired at the crowd. There's one confirmed report of somebody dead by gunfire. There are confirmed reports of other people wounded by gunfire. There are unconfirmed reports that there are other people dead by what means we don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I would compare what's going on in Iran today to, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Mr. Ahmadinejad and the mullahs are students of Adolf Hitler, to the great lie, the big lie of Adolf Hitler. He kept telling lies over and over and over again. We all know about the propaganda machine until those lies took hold. But the difference is today, ladies and gentlemen, the internet prevails. And people with cell phones, with cell cameras, with small concealable cameras, with small video cameras, are making pictures, are making videos, and emailing them out to the rest of the world so that we can see that the big lie is, in fact, that, a lie. Lies, lies, lies coming out of the mouth of Mr. Ahmadinejad about what is going on there on the streets of Tehran. Perhaps had we had the internet back in the 1930s and the 1940s, the Holocaust would not have occurred because the world would have seen what the Nazis were up to. And make no mistake of it, in the name of religious fundamentalism, the people who are perpetrating these crimes against their own populace are fascists in the tradition of Mussolini and in the tradition of Adolf Hitler. There is no difference between them. They are fascists. There's no question about it. And it's just horrific what is going on in Iran today. Indiscriminate. They don't care whether they are attacking men. They don't care whether they are attacking women. They don't care whether they are attacking adults. They don't care whether they are attacking children. They don't care whether they are attacking elderly people. There are just too many images coming out that do not lack veracity. Too many of them. Boaz, would you please play one of the videos right now?
آتیش! برو تو خیابون برو.
Clearly, the streets of Tehran are not calm. This was just a handful of people that were throwing rocks, but there are other images that are far more powerful than even this. Some that we're a little bit hesitant to show you because of the violence that they show. Now, I do not withhold my criticism just for the government of Iran. I am sorely disappointed at the muted response coming from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. Obviously, there are horrific human rights violations for the world to see, and the White House is muted on this. Why, Mr. President? Why, when you send your Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to China, human rights issues are not on the table? I find that extremely disturbing. Now, I recognize that the administration needs to be very cautious about how it approaches this situation so as to not being appearing to imposing its will on the Iranians at a time when we are trying to reestablish détente. But I want to tell you something. This is not something that's negotiable when it comes to diplomacy with other nations. Human rights violations are not negotiable.